Hi again. It's me, Thomas. It's time for a stream. I'm the creator of the game, Bulwark, and today we're going to stream and look at this brand new update I've been working on for months now. It finally digs into the more strategic parts of the game, but it also adds a ton of content. And I've been just listening and reading all the user feedback and incorporating as much as possible from that. The list is insane, from being able to fast travel to your little trading ships to new visuals, the way how combat ships work, how turrets work, what they target, the effects, and everything's been overhauled. It's an insane evolution of the entire game. But it's better to show than to tell. So let's get into it. As you can see, I've the how do you call it? The menu is now blue. The reason for that is that I've been working on the colors. I've like I explained last, how do you call it? Stream. Just finessing also the lower camera angles. I'm gonna talk about camera angles quite a bit, so hold on with there. As we start the game, if I reset this, we have something new in the settings, which have been cleaned up. It's called a Total War mode. The total, well, it's not Total War. Oh, my mistake. It's called Total Conquest. Not going to beat on Sega or anything. It's Total Conquest. And it's just a fun mode where everybody's at war with you. There's just increased amounts of units coming at you. It's really, keeping you busy, making those defenses count. I don't think it'll be an excruciatingly hard survival mode. It's not a survival game. It's still fairly casual and fun, defend, but they are coming at you and you have to think a bit more. You get a few more resources at the start. Things are, locked off a little bit more, and it's really just, you want to conquer and get into fights. That's the mode you got to do. Also, you can see that, little things that happen to the interface now shows the population of each save file. So you need to know which one you're opening. As I believe that each save file matters, and I don't want people to have 1,000 saves and then go back and forth. Everything matters in a game, but it's good to show that you have little population counter there. Makes managing that just a little easier. That's just the little things that have been done. Well, this is what my settlement looks like. I've prepared with some of the architecture and accuracy or updates. I've done that down a little bit, that if you go further away from your outpost, there's a few less of these big buildings, because it got to be crazy where that's everything, in moderation. The other big thing, while we're talking about architecture, is this giant wall here. So people have been calling the walls you could make based from skyway. So this is a skyway in my terminology, and then beneath it, and it's now, you don't have to go all the way down. You could make these lower walls, which someone called curtain walks, which is a nice thing. These now have new designs. So here there are some arches spanning across. That is just a really thick defensive wall, but it's also great for stuff that's jutting out. Get a little bit more of that, Minas Tirith-esque, jutting out bits. I haven't got an example, but I've using it here. I've been using it in others, just to jut out into the ocean when you're trying to, because you can exploit yourself and build across the water just by hooking stuff in there. And then this actually makes all those jumbles of stuff you build across the water to reach other islands look just a little bit more secure. The coolest thing is, if I think I can do it, that's just a regular wall. You can do skyways from stone tier buildings, and I hope it's... Look, and they make a different type of curtain wall. It's got some regular arches at the end, but at the start, there's I'm calling these Roman arches to the right here. So that's also in the game. There's just a little bit more building content and balancing stuff. I don't know what that little floating archway is there. Probably a boat. Also, fixes to the resource system. When you have multiple sources of something, so there's like two, how do you call it, citadels there. They are fighting to supply, for instance, this one tower which is connected to both. What I've done is to make it, you can't iterate back and forth again when these really giant networks. But I've done that the highest output is calculated first, so that, for instance, this one, it's up and even. It's close to both, but the biggest one got calculated first, so that's the one from the big Imperial, which is from this command tower. So that this makes sense. You get fewer issues, but due to the performance constraints, I can't calculate the true network every frame or every so many frames. The resource flow has been fixed. There was some bugs in that, in the display and stuff. So lots of fixes there in just the core stuff. There you see also new stuff. So here's a new commander, and it's Pete from the Falconeer, and he brought his flying Emporio. But the flying Emporio now it's a bank. He went into banking. Yeah, when if there's a war, there's an opportunity to make money, and he got into it. So there's a new command. There's not a lot of new commanders, but there's a lot of new stuff to find. And one cool thing when we're talking about new stuff to find is that the stuff in the world you can find, and there's a range of what you can see. You can see the range ends about here. You can see that some of the stuff is now not just question marks that appear at random. They are actually placed, so the guild surveyors, and I already got a few out, so embassies over here. Those are now fixed locations to find. So when you start a new save and you want the lighthouse, there's a spot for it, and you can go out and find it, and it's yours. If I teleport to here, we can see there's more to be found here. There's even an area called New Nerevan where the Mongrous mercenary now lives, and that banker as well. You can see my boats is on the map. New stuff, you can teleport to your trade ship. So when they're on the attack, you can just fast travel there. It's just a quick thing. We can also see that settlements have different levels. So Naughty Log has a little sword, so it's well defended, but there's also capitals which are super well defended, and it'll give you, Salad Mount. You can take that quickly with a single force. There's also combat ships patrolling between factional settlements, so they're patrolling their own waters. When you fly off, you can see combat ships, and they will go hostile if you go into get into a war situation. So there's also other question marks, which we'll talk about which is now a fine time to talk about it. There is, I'll fly off to these guys as well. There is these, let's see, these ones that show a little gun. Those are ancient fortresses to find, and then you have regular question marks. There's one here by chance. We have new settlements to discover, and these are sort of not to replace the random outposts and refugees, but these are more fixed refugees in a fixed place. So you can decide, hey, I want more pirates or bannerless, or more Mancer. You can go out and see them on the map and acquire them. And they cost splinters. So we'll get into splinters and economical gameplay, because that's grown quite a bit. But you just buy them. And then they're yours. And they have a little flavor text. It's not been recorded yet. This is Dunkel. And like I said, it's a bit nicer because they've been designed in place. And there's just generally the random encounters are for combat or commander. So they're not, everything isn't, how do you call it, as random. So you just have more reason to explore. So another thing that happened is fortresses. So I already bought this one and supplied it so I can build it out. And a fortress has its own architecture. As you can see, it's a bit, diesel punk might be a nice way to put it. It's got a giant gun. You can swap it out. Sometimes you get a missile. So there is a significant difference now during the combat. Hopefully we'll see it later on in the stream, between point defense and big guns. Fighting fighters or fighting, fighting big, slow-moving vehicles. You can add up to 5 different turret types to it to make it a bit more multifunctional. You can move them around. I've placed this here. You can turn this into, if I go to one of the other saves, complete it adds a complete new layer of defense. Because hopefully we'll see it. Because which I've added more. So I've spent some splinters and I've turned this into my own, you know, diesel punk fortress. So that looks fucking brutal. So that's a part of my French. Those things fire. They're big. The sacrifice that had to be made for balance is that combat war is now different. Am I at war? I'm not at war with anybody in this setting. The little guns that would spawn out from walls no longer spawn. They only spawn from commanders. So if I make a regular wall like this... I don't have any metals. Okay. But anyway, they would spawn appropriate guns for that command. So you have different... You can get point defenses. So different commanders have different gun types that they spawn on the walls connected to them. That adds a little bit of extra variety you can discover per commander. Some are point defense, some are big guns, and that's they don't happen on curtained walls. But actually, let's see if we can spawn out, see it in action. So this one now, she has that's a warbird commander, so she spawns a point defense. But this empty tower won't spawn and doesn't spoil spawn any guns because it's not a commander. So that's the sacrifice. You have fortresses, but the things are, you know, you have to buy them, expand them. I've put one here. They're not super expensive, but it makes defending. It adds a little bit more depth and thought to how you expand and where you defend, because. Well, we'll go to war in a minute. So that's, you know, there's lots on the map. There's a few. I actually think we can might go there in a minute. Do some. There's actually a few new locations permanently on the map. Those are permanent combat zones called the Stump and the Hole. They have a little bit of lore associated with them. There's a few question marks around them to discover. So there's, like I said, there's some new content. There is a lot of new content on the map. I can't show you because the range of the map is still low and I don't have the lighthouse. But all this stuff, it just goes on. There's just so much more stuff to do, see, and buy this time. So fortresses, and your enemies will also spawn these fortresses in their own defense. So that makes when you fly at an enemy city, there might be a fortress in the way. There's just a little bit more oomph to that. So let's get into, we're talking about war. Let's talk into a few of the things that happened before we get into a fight. So let's remember how commanders used to look. So the menu used to be in center. This is how the commander menu used to look. Now, when you have an installed commander, you have three sections. To assign a commander, unassign, tactical modes, and you can buy warbirds. So it's literally a matter of just spending the money, and you see a little bird came out in the. If you look, I can't do it because I'm at the max. So there's a limit, and the limit you can increase. There's a total capacity limit, which has been raised to 50 units for your entire city. And then the bigger the towers, the more units you can buy. You get a few for free, so that's a simple one. So you buy unit. That makes, you know, just throwing them at the enemy, flying out with unit and getting ones for free. It was not a super fulfilling strategic goal because you didn't, you know, there was no effort involved in getting those units, not much. So this adds more weight to losing units. It's more fun. You can have more units. You can just buy some new ones. You have to save up from that. And then there's this menu. So we now have three tactical groupings. The old one is escort group. You assign a commander, and those units will fly off with your escort. So the white birds now join me as they've always had. So that's the old system. If I put them to defense, they will, or they should, stop following me around and keep patrolling around the tower. Oh, here's that camera I talked about. The camera It's just for fun to show you, visually. The camera can now go lower. It might be a bit awkward with the mouse, but you get used to it. We'll talk about those ships later, what they're doing. You can get all the way to water, and it just looks so much more epic. And you can look up and see what's happening in the sky. Way big improvement for dealing with that. So the third option, back to the commander, is Assault Group, which is the most fun option. It's a new addition. So now when I've put her to Assault, and I can put as many commanders in there, let's assign another commander somewhere. Assign them. Let's put that into... let's buy... it's a very small tower. Let's put an escort group. And you see it coming out. That's following me. And the warbirds aren't defending. When I use the target... I can set the commands for the assault group separately. Just by clicking on the assault target button, it will set it like this. And you can see those warbirds I assigned. They'll go there, they'll defend there, they'll attack. You can do that on the map as well. Oh, look, we've got an attack on a little bit of combat. Now we can actually teleport there and see what's going on. It's another thing. It's a Mosaur. Oh, and we go down to the water. You can see it's trying to attack that boat. So people been wanting sea monsters for quite some time. It needs to be a little faster than that sailing boat, but nevertheless, we want that Mosaur, and it can jump out of the water and do stuff. And it's just a little fun diversion, except from getting attacked by the pirates all of the time. And it's gone. That's more content that's there. Adds a little bit variety, having sea monsters, and it was fun. But I was talking about how you can set your fleet, your assault group, with a special button that's assigned. At the moment it's 1 on the keyboard and D-pad left on the things, and you can see them following them around. See, they're already moving there. So that's how you can have multiple forces at multiple places. Have a bit of fun with that system. Not much has changed for captains in here. It still looks the same. It's on the other side to differentiate. There's still dangerous trade routes, although it's been when you add a command ship, it should generally just safeguard it and be done with the attacks, because there were just quite many at some point. So that's a huge tactical change. You have all these groups. Let's see, what else is there new? Well, I said we'll talk about these ships. There is a new thing, tentatively, like the name was Naval Command, and that's your Naval Command building. We have a new building. You need to earn this one. You can assign captains to it. You can assign captains to it, but they don't do anything. When you get this building, and there's a little side quest that pops up when you have enough. It's a free house wonder, basically. If you see my soul tree, it's got its own icon. Also, the total cap for soul tree is now 5,000 units before you get the wonder. People are just rushing through it, so a little bit of balancing there. Yeah, so that's the Naval Command. It's just a building you can place, but what it does is when I select to switch, normally it would go to my surveyor, but when I'm close to my Naval Command, I select a controllable battleship. And this is called your command flagship, and the captains I've assigned to that harbor, they are now my little task force. So they're following me around like little sheep going my own way. So you now have a controllable ship. It does most of the things. It can't build anything. It's more for extra. It's got a few big guns because that stuff has, and it's for exploring the world. And here, this low camera really shows you how epic the game actually is. I think without that low camera, it's very hard to appreciate how big things are. How epically a small settlement can get, let alone something that's 100,000 population. So that's pretty cool. You can do another things. You can do the same thing. Your assault group, you can command that group if I am on the ground or in my surveyor. That ships, I can just command them to go, and they'll go off towards a naval target. I can do that from here as well, and they'll go there. So you can have your naval fleet guard, a trade route, or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Let's see if we can show you some of the... the question is, do we want to maybe show you with ground forces and get bugs? That's always fun. You can also fast travel. So I can fast travel here. I should be close to where that... Oh, we've achieved a bug, I guess. I've teleported somewhere not entirely correct. All right, maybe here. Well, that's a shame. Oh, and now that... okay. No, bugs happen. So that's you'll have to wait till... I've put some videos online where of combat with these ships. Or actually, that's just declare war, because there's more to see. And maybe we can rebuild our naval command. It's a slightly longer stream. So let's be... And it's like a wonder, so it needs to go in the deep water. Well, let's just set the target for the naval command. Hope they reappear. That's kind of funny. One thing with wars are also different now. So hopefully we can actually maybe attack some monster. Yeah, well, let's see if we can. Let's go down, and I'm just waiting for the wars to start. Because what happens is that the system for what happens when what an enemy does has been changed substantially. So they don't longer send out a single raid once in a while. They start sending out waves of units, and it should happen. So you can see the patrol ship. This is a monster patrol ship. Is now, if we were to get close, we could get into a fight. It's just doing its thing. But I actually wanted to create a teleport spot there. And hopefully wait for the monster. So here it is. So every settlement of the monster, every so often, will send out a bunch of units. Let's see if there's another settlement that send out. Okay, so we've got one settlement. And they'll send them out in turn. Based on the commander that's in that settlement. So each settlement used to have, and you can own those commanders, a specific unit that's associated now with that enemy settlement, and they will start spawning that one. So if you get attacked by ship type or by capital ships, you need to take out the settlement that makes capital ships. And they don't just rush towards your settlement. It's a little bit more airborne focused at the moment. I'm trying to get some ship-based stuff in there. So let's have a trade route there, so we can teleport close to the enemy. Those enemies aren't going to attack me directly, so it's sending out waves of them, and they're going to go to a rallying point. They're going to wait at the rallying point until there's, like, I think 4 squads completed, and then they attack from that rallying point, and after a while, they retreat back to that rallying point. That means I can choose to disrupt their build-up. I've got a little bit of a warning what's coming, and based on where the rallying point is, I can see where they're coming from and where I should position my fortresses. So, this is a low-level war. I've not taken any of their bases. I've not done anything. I've just, messed about. I think my ships have teleported somewhere and are completely gone, and not coming back. So I can't show you that, sadly. Might actually see if I can show you some other stuff while we go in combat, and then I'll take it to another save, because I broke it. Still in development, it's not done. All the localization hasn't been done. I'll take my mini fortress. So another thing that should be apparent is just the visual. You see, this stuff is now so much better with the low camera. Oh, I actually got to see the spawning. I need where are the enemies? There they are. I've also, normally they should spawn a little later. One of the things that's also happened is that big forces fight big units. So the units have different... So you can see the warbirds were first engaged with fighting my own escort, and now they're coming after me, including the big vessels shooting their big guns at me. So there's... And each gun type on a vessel will also focus on the appropriate target. You can also see the effects have improved, and especially when if I can try to get destroyed. I've lost all my guns, so I've got no defenses met. So that happened a while back, that the modular... so hopefully we'll see also some nice splashing effects. Well, a little splash, I need to make a big one. So there's a little thing. Let's show some more. Make it really long, and I want to use my surface fleet because it's fun. So let's do our Mancer thing. Let's take that combat lady out of that. Let's go to I have a naval command, I believe. Yes. Let's assign her there. She should spawn. And we'll set off for the stump. It's going to take a little while. And it's going to pathfind its way there. So it might... so I'm not direct controlling it, so the AI is sort of pathing its way there. So it's going around the sandbanks and stuff. I don't know what that place is. Oh, that's my own... like that, let's watch how things look epic from this low perspective when you're on the water. It really adds another sense of scale to what you've built. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. But controllable boats. People wanted controllable Falconeers, but I've been having so much fun with controllable boats. And also maybe that's the subject of my next game. Well, not that. Or one of the future games in the Falconeer universes. Don't know. Let's ignore that. Because we want to get to a new location. We're nearly there. So again, some fishing ships are spawning. They might need to spawn and little sharks. Those always been there. So that's a new place in the distance there. We're not going to visit it, but some of these places have. This one has a unique architecture. It's just a little bit of lore. They sell you some experience for your units. Let's see if we can see it. So there are places to discover now that are more, that tell you a little bit about the world. And especially the place we're going is from the Falconeer. It's called the Stump. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a significant place for the Mancer Order. And when we get there, we'll find it's a combat zone, and the people there are just, they think every, combat death is a sacrifice to rebuilding what they called the tree. Let's see, let's put the destination. It's more so. There it is. Let's see some combat. So the how do you call it? This ship has really long range guns. It targets the big capital ship. The capital ship range has also been increased, and we can see some of the. Well, I'm gonna survive this without air cover. Well, there we go. So that was a little bit of a naval combat. I probably gonna need to balance that out because I've been feeling it, and that's what the public beta is for. But just to show you some of the, how do you call it? New stuff that's available in the game. Well, here, little changes. You can now have 3 battleships or capital airships. Oh, they're stuck. Like I said, it's still a beta. It should teleport all over the map and all of that. But I hope you enjoyed this look you know, this new look at what's coming. I might have forgotten entire areas about it, but I think, you know, the new content, the new locations, it's just a ton of new stuff. I think this is the big one. I think this, you know, this update complements what the you know, what the game was missing. I hope it adds a little bit more depth and challenge, and it makes it sort of a more complete experience that also, you know, makes things a bit worthwhile. Like, where do I put my guns? What did I do? Etc. etc. So hope you enjoyed this little preview look. And like I said, little vacation, and then it's coming later in the summer. So stay tuned.